Do you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Aloha, everybody. This is Harold Green, and it is seriously time to stop doing what you hate and putting up with the things that you just absolutely abhor and the things that make you sick. How is everybody doing today? I'm doing great. I'm excited to be bringing you the show titled Situational Awareness. And before I get into that, I just want to say I'm grateful for all of the rain that we're getting here in Hawaii. We're getting so much rain. I think I need to build an ark, but we need the rain, and I'm greatly appreciative for that. So are you guys ready to get this show title, Situational Awareness? All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Let's get it. Now, situational awareness is the perception of environment, elements, and events with respect to time and space, or the comprehension of their meaning and the projection of their future status. And one of the things that I'm seeing that's extremely sad in this country today is that people have lost the ability to understand their situational awareness. So many people have no idea what's going on with them from an overall long-term perspective, and they're simply focused on today and living for today, which is important. But you have to understand that the things that you choose and the decisions that you make today are definitely going to impact your long-term situation, whether good or bad. I drive by this Baptist church on the way to work, and it's on one of the streets where there's an intersection, and it's like kind of like on the left-hand side, and they put up this message board. And one of the things, and it's always something catchy, and it's always something just kind of crazy to get you to think. And one of the things it said is that you are free to choose whatever you want to choose, but you are not free from the consequences of your choice. And I think a lot of people are starting to make decisions that they don't because the bill hasn't come due yet. In other words, the consequences of their decision won't be felt for a long time. And I'm going to get into some things, and I'm going to talk to you folks about some things because I don't want you to get sidetracked. And I was talking to someone the other day, and they said, does your show bring in a lot of new clients? And the answer is yes and no. And I told them, I said, the main reason I decided to do this podcast show was to educate my clients and to help them stay on track and to understand where they are right now, what's going on around them, and why the planning we put in place is so very, very important, and the things that can get them sidetracked. And so I want to get a little deeper into this. And it's not just situational awareness, it's situational irony. And situational irony is going to tie into the next thing that I'm going to talk about. And situational irony is a literary technique in which an expected outcome does not happen, or its opposite happens instead. Now that sucks. Situational irony requires one's expectation to be thwarted and is also sometimes called an irony of events. The outcome can be tragic or humorous, but it is always unexpected. And for the most part, when I see things like this, hardly is it humorous. A lot of times it's tragic because the things that people are believing and the things that people are doing are actually causing them to fall into the tragic side versus the humorous side. And that leads me into the next thing. So, situational irony is one thing, but what about financial irony? Can you imagine having goals and dreams and things like that of finances, and the absolute opposite happens? You're trying to build a business and you're working hard and you're doing all the things that you think you need to do. And instead of becoming successful, your business becomes a failure. Now, there's many books out there that talks about how to overcome business failure and so on and so forth and how to avoid business failure. But I want to get into the financial irony side of it because not too many people in this country will experience financial success. There's a quote out there, I think it's a stat that says only 3 or 4% of the people in this country will retire with enough money that will last them their entire lives. Now, that is a very small number. Now, what is happening with everybody else? What's the deal with the 3% or the 4% or even the 1% that they talk about taxing, which they will never get their hands on that money? And I'll talk to you guys about that a little bit later, but they're never getting their hands getting their hands on the money of the wealthiest 1% of the people in the world. And they know that. They know that's a lie, and they're just perpetuating that lie, and people are believing that. The 96% are believing that. But the 1, 2, 3, and 4%, they're not believing that at all, and they're taking action against that. So why do people fall into financial irony? And I think there's 3 or 4 good reasons that I came up with, and 3 or 4 good reasons why I fell into financial irony before I got my crap straight, before I got my act together. The first one was very simple. I did not take control. I did not take control of the situation. I was hoping, I was wishing, and I was praying, but I was not taking control of my financial situation. I was not being diligent with my financial situation. As a matter of fact, it was the exact opposite. I think when I look back on it now, not only was I not being diligent, but I was being lazy. And you guys know I'm a big Proverbs guy, and this is not to bash you with religion, which I absolutely abhor religion. And I'll talk to you about how religion has actually hurt people and their desires to become wealthy. And that's where the great contradiction of Bible and the wealth comes in. And we're going to get into that later on. But Proverbs 13:4, you can go look this up, a couple of different versions. The King James Version says, the soul of the sluggard desireth and hath nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. Now, it's not talking about gaining weight here. The Amplified Version says, the soul or appetite of the lazy person craves and gets nothing, for lethargy overcomes ambition, but the soul appetite of the diligent who works willingly is rich and abundantly supplied. You cannot argue with that. Hard work does pay off, but so many people, they won't take control of their situation, and they're always taking their cues from others. And the second thing I see people doing is they constantly blame others all the time. Now, if you're listening to the show, I can guarantee you're probably not like this, but if you are listening to this show, these are the types of mindsets and the people that you need to avoid and run away from as fast as you possibly can. I was talking to some clients the other day, and they came in and they had been referring people in, and they had gave me a referral, and I said, okay, I'll give them a call. And I called them, and I got zero, I got crickets, I got nothing, no return call back, no email back, nothing, absolutely nothing. And we were talking, and I said, well, when they see the fruit of our planning, and they see the fruit and the success in your lives, maybe that'll spur them. And they said, yeah, they've been seeing that, but still, though, they're not moving on it. We've shared you and your number with so many people. And I said, that's fine. And I said, here's my thing. I said, I prayed, and I said, God, I said, send me the people that you want them to experience what you have done in my life, and you want them to experience the gift that you've placed in my life. And I said, if they, if they're going to drag feet and do crazy stuff, I don't want to deal with them. I have no desire to deal with people like that at all. And one of the things I see as I see people constantly blaming others for the situation that they're in, it's like it's their fault that I don't have enough. It's the company's fault that I didn't get a pay raise, and on, and so many different excuses. It's my spouse's fault. It's my kid's fault. It's always somebody else's fault why they don't have what they need. And if you're around people like that and you hear people talking like that, run away as fast. If you're friends with them, you know what? You're probably going to have to limit that relationship, because it can negatively affect your mind, because your outcome in life is dependent upon a couple of things: the thoughts that are in your head and the words that come out of your mouth. The thoughts that are in your head and the words that come out of your mouth. So you have to constantly get a mental check and a mouth check as often as you can. Now, the third thing I see with people that fall into financial irony are people that have a negative money outlook. They have a negative MO. And I've heard this all the time. It's an excuse for why they don't have what they have. And it goes a little something like this: if God wanted me rich, I would have been born rich. If this is supposed to happen for me, if it's meant for me, it's meant for me. I hear crap like that all the time. And honestly, I don't even argue with them anymore, because I would probably have to make them pay tuition and sit down for like 5 months to understand and to learn where they were actually wrong. And here's the thing: when I hear people say that, when I hear people say, if God wanted me to have money, I would have it. If it was meant to be, it would be meant to be. And I think they have a false perception of what's really in the Bible because they don't read it. And I'm going to share this with you guys. 3rd John chapter 2 starts off by saying, "Beloved," which is very important. "I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospers." And you can't go wrong with that, right? It's written like right there, that thou mayest prosper. And people are like, yeah, that was talking about something. It's not talking about money. Yes, it's talking about money and health and mental prosperity, which is your soul. So, you're made up of three parts. You're made up your soul, which is your mind, will, and emotions, your spirit, and then your body, your earthly, your fleshly body. This is talking about the trinity of prosperity. You are supposed to be prospering in every single area of your life, not just money, relationships, marriage, health, everything. Why? Because when you prosper holistically, you have more to give, and you can do more in life. The other thing I hear is, oh, God hates rich people. The Bible talks about how having money is bad. I'm like, okay, I don't understand where you got that from. I heard things like rich people should give more to the poor. And it's like, you don't understand. You do not understand. You know, there's things that talk about how you will have the poor with you forever. We are not going to eradicate poverty from the earth, because poverty not only is a physical situation, but poverty is a mental situation. And you have people that live in country that's ruled by evil people. And that's a true fact. Prosperity will never get there because the goal of these countries is to keep their people poor so that they can control them. And I'm going to tell you something right now. There's something similar going on in our country. If people lose their will to prosper, they can be controlled. If people lose their will to prosper, they can be controlled. Why? Because then they're dependent upon an organization or a government to take care of them. And so therefore, if you rise up, they will put you down. So you're going to have to understand what's going on in our country right now in regards to taxation and them wanting to tax the rich and so on and so forth. I got a surprise for you. They're never going to be able to tax the rich. What they're going to do is they've cunningly changed the definition of what rich means. We're going to tax people making more than 400,000. We're going to raise we're going to raise the taxes on them. People making more than 400,000. There's different types of ways to get income that can escape the types of taxes that they are talking about implementing on people. Okay, there's different ways, and then you get in contact with me, and if I'm working with you, then I'll share with you some of that. But they're never going to be able to get after the real wealth because it's protected. It's protected in trust. And these people they've already accumulated and they've already amassed wealth. And a lot of these corporations are getting tax breaks because they employ so many people. It's just a racket. So if they can change the definition of what rich is, then therefore they have everybody hoodwinked. Like they are trying to change the definition of what racist is. These people make me sick because they do not understand what true racism is. But if they can manipulate people's minds and make them think what racism is or give them a new definition of it, then they've got the game won. And this is where I find people buying into lies or misconceptions based on their money outlook. And I think religion has done a horrible job dissuading people from being wealthy or trying to become wealthy. Why? Because it's a control thing. Everything boils back down to control. And I'm going to tell you guys straight up, money is a tool. Okay. And money is not to be idolized. Money is not to be worshiped. Money is a tool. And a lot of times I hear people say, well, money can't buy love. Of course, money can't buy love, but money can earn you respect. Money can earn you, a good image in the community by you giving, doing charitable good, taking care of your responsibilities with your kids, helping them with their college tuition and things like that. Just you have to look at money as a tool. And a lot of times we say, well, we're not going to do this and we're not going to do that. And I don't agree with this. I don't like someone would say, I don't think this is worth it. Everybody has a different value system. Somebody would value cars over, eating out every day, or some people value paying their children's private school tuition. And some people say, I'll never do that. And I don't think it's worth it. Everybody has a different set of values. But the problem a lot of times is with values, they're self-centric, right? They're self-centered. They're centered on what I think is important. what I think is not important. And you're going to have to understand how these types of thinking are based on your money outlook or your money attitude. And I'm going to do a show later on about your money attitude and your attitude towards money. I just wanted to give you guys a little sneak peek into it with some of the things I'm sharing with you today. But you don't want to get into a situational financial irony. And where you start, you have to understand your financial awareness. And you guys all know that I created the Rapid Retire program. If you're listening to me for the first time, you can go find it on my show, on my website at retirewhileretireNow.com. Because the goal of the Rapid Retire program is to help put you in position to be able to walk away from your job as soon as you possibly can, if you want to. And getting into financial awareness, I have 3 questions for you. And if you can answer these questions, great. If you can't, I definitely want you to get in contact with me and let me help you get the answers to these questions. And question number 1 is this: do you actually know right now your approximate wealth? How much money do you have? Number 2, do you actually know at what point you will no longer have to work for money? That's when your money starts working for you. Okay. What age? What date? Okay. Number 3, do you actually have a risk mitigation system in place to help reduce the damage of a financial crisis? All of these tax hikes that they're talking about implementing on the quote unquote rich, they're going to cause a ripple effect in our economy in all areas. The question is when that happens, will you be prepared? Will you be in position? Do you have the proper risk mitigation in place to help minimize the damage of a financial crisis? If you can avoid a financial crisis, that's great. But normally these things send shockwaves throughout the world. Okay. So if you can answer those questions, great. If you can't, you guys got to look me up. And so thanks for tuning in to the show today. And until next time, everybody, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.